Jabra claims to have reinvented true wireless earbuds with their new flagship, the Jabra Elite 7 Pro. But with so many incredible earbuds selling for less than $100, adding wireless charging, or ANC, is no longer enough to stand out in a sea of wireless earbuds. So what did Jabra actually do to make these earbuds so much better? Well, they did a couple things. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mike O'Brien, and like I said, this is the Jabra Elite 7 Pro, a pair of earbuds that have been much anticipated by anybody following earbuds, and I personally have been really excited about these since they were announced, and more importantly, since I reviewed the Jabra Elite 3s. But before I explain what the difference is here, let's kind of take a little rewind and talk about a brief timeline of Jabra earbuds. So 2 years ago, Jabra came out with the Elite 75Ts. In my opinion, these were arguably the best Jabra earbuds that they ever made, at least until now, but that was because they had fantastic bass, they had a great battery life, a great fit, very, very comfortable, and for a long time, they were one of my favorites on this channel. In the earbud reviews and my comparison videos, they usually came up on top, or at least very near the top. And then last year, so 1 year after the 75Ts, Jabra came out with the 85Ts. And the Jabra 85Ts, I thought, kind of took a step back. So while they were better in that they added powerful active noise cancellation and they added a Qi wireless charging on the case, they took a step back because something I really liked about Jabra was that compact form factor. The small case, the long battery life, like fitting everything into something so small, I thought was really important. And the 85Ts added a lot of bulk. And then, a couple weeks ago, Jabra came out with the Elite 3s, and since I reviewed them on this channel, which I'll link to that down below, I actually really love these earbuds. Fantastic case, very similar design to what we saw in the 75Ts, and since I made that video, I've actually worn these on every single run I've gone on, which is several times a week. That's because I find that they're lighter, more secure, and overall I just feel like they're better for workouts than most other earbuds on the market. But now we have the Jabra Elite Pro 7, which I'm more than confident is definitely going to take the place of the Jabra Elite 3s. At least for my workouts, I really like these earbuds. And let's start off with a physical tour to see what they're actually good at. Now, you can see the case design is a little bit different, and at first I was skeptical of this, because one of the things I really loved about the Jabra Elite 3s and the 75Ts was the compact case. I thought it was a fantastic design. The way it opened, it was small, it fit well in your pockets, and everything about it just made a lot of sense. But now they went with a more clamshell design, more similar to what we saw with the Galaxy Buds, which is another case design that I definitely do like. Of course, with this new case design, you are getting a bigger surface on the bottom for Qi wireless charging, which I think is a positive, and you do have some fast charging options where you can charge it for 5 minutes and get 1 hour of listening. But when you open up the case, by far one of the best features of these earbuds is that incredibly small compact size and shape. So these earbuds fit incredibly comfortably in my ears, much like the Jabra Elite 75Ts, actually even better than those honestly, and they're more secure than the 85Ts. I found that these earbuds not only feel incredibly light when you're working out, they don't feel like there's too much in my ears, not a lot of pressure buildup, and being that they're so small and compact, you would expect, all right, maybe they compromised on sound quality, maybe they compromised on the battery life. They actually did neither. Just as a side note, I have a lot of other earbuds on my desk right now, so if you want to see those videos coming out very soon, be sure to go down and click that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss those videos. So as I mentioned, one of the aspects of Jabra earbuds I've always been really fond of is how flush they are in your ears. So when you wear them, they never look like they stick out too far, they're never too bulky, and now these, being even smaller, are even more subtle. So whether you're wearing them for video meetings, or whether you're wearing them on a bus or in public or any other situation, a subtle light pair of earbuds, I think, looks a lot nicer. And speaking of looks, they also come in 3 different colors. So these are the black and gray ones, obviously. There's also an all black version and an all tan version. So, honestly, you can choose whichever one looks the most subtle to you. Something strange I noticed with these earbuds is when I take them out of my ears, because the silicone tip is so soft, a lot of times it turns inside out. And looking on the outside, you'll see another thing I've always really liked about these earbuds being the really perfectly tactile physical buttons. So unlike a lot of earbuds that have touch controls, the physical buttons, I think, perform better when you are outside and you're wearing gloves, or if your hands are wet, or literally any other situation where you want to use a button instead of a physical touch control. I think there's more situations than not where touch controls just end up not working as well as you want them to. So physical buttons are fantastic. I'm happy to see that on here. And looking on the inside of the earbuds, you'll see we have our charging nodes, we have our tiny little proximity sensor. These do actually have autoplay and auto pause when you put them in or take them out of your ears. I think that's a great thing to have, and they have microphones that are really hard to see on these earbuds. But we'll get into a microphone test in just a second to see how good that actually is, because again, when you go on their website, that was one of the massive claims they made. They've been talking all about their improved hear-through, their improved microphones, and everything along those lines. So really summarizing the physical design, I think it's smaller, it's more compact, they still have physical buttons. The physical buttons feel great, and now they have IP57 water resistance and dust resistance as well, meaning that these are really durable. So physical design has always been something Jabra really did well, and I think that's a great thing that I commend them for. But the microphones have never really been leading the pack. So the fact that they're claiming that these are leading the pack makes me really interested in trying them out. So let's actually get into a test right now and see how the microphones actually sound. Okay, so getting into a microphone test. This is what it sounds like indoors in a studio environment with the Jabra Elite 7 Pro. So you can leave a comment and let me know how these sound to you. But of course, you're not always going to be indoors in a quiet environment. Sometimes you're going to be outside on a sidewalk or near some noisy traffic. So let's go in a louder environment and see how they perform there. All right, so now we're outside by a pretty busy road. A lot of ambient sound here, so leave a comment and let me know if you can hear what I'm saying in a noisier environment. Now, with such a compact design, you might assume that Jabra compromised on the sound quality or the battery life, and that's actually not the case. I found that these earbuds have a pretty fantastic battery life. But depending on where you look, you find different numbers, like Jabra's website said 8 hours or 30 hours with the case, but on the box it says you get 9 hours with the earbuds and 35 hours with the case. Regardless of what it is, it's a fantastic battery life, and it should definitely get you through a pretty long time listening to these. And another benefit is if for some reason you wanted to extend that battery life, or if you just want to do this for any other reason, you can listen to just one earbud at a time. So these do have mono mode, again, something that in the past Jabra earbuds have kind of struggled with. So that's because they're now using Bluetooth 5.2, which is a huge positive, but that kind of leads into one of the first drawbacks. Unlike a lot of the previous Jabra earbuds, at least at launch, these don't have any kind of multi-pairing. So I cannot connect to two devices at once as I used to be able to with the 75Ts and the 85Ts. Instead, at least right now, I'm only able to connect to one device at a time with the Jabra Elite 7 Pros. And speaking of the connectivity and the features of these earbuds, let's take a look at the app. The Jabra Sound app has a lot in there, and it always gets a little better with every generation. So right here you can see the Jabra Elite 7 Pros has a lot of things here. We can have different levels of active noise cancellation, which I'll talk more about that in a second. We also have hear-through mode, which has many different levels of that as well. And from my experience, the hear-through is really clean with this. That was one of the things they bragged about when they launched these earbuds, and kind of rightfully so. I think it sounds really clean and really crisp with almost no delay at all. So it sounds like you're not even wearing them. That's something that I was really happy to see. We also have an equalizer down here with several different ways you can EQ this. The Energize is pretty exciting, and of course I'll talk more about sound in a second, but realistically, they have a lot of capabilities. I found that when you adjust the EQ, you can really max out each one or minimize each one, and you don't have a lot of distortion. And then of course they have their soundscape as well on the bottom, which is something that Jabra has always had. It's just white noise, something to sleep with, and since these are so much smaller than a lot of other earbuds, I could definitely see people sleeping with these and playing some white noise. In the app, I also love that you're able to customize the controls. Now, I mentioned that the sound quality with these earbuds was pretty substantial. Despite being in such a tiny form factor, they didn't really compromise much. But there was one thing that I wish they had, and that is higher quality codecs. These are limited to SBC and AAC, which if you have an iPhone is all you're able to do anyway, but regardless, they seem to sound really good. They have a very powerful bass that doesn't really lose balance no matter how you EQ this, and I found that, even if you want to EQ and max out the bass or totally minimize the bass, you really don't have much distortion, and even when you max it out, it doesn't sound too muddy. Overall, I think they did a really good job presenting the balance in a very capable pair of earbuds, and the only complaints I had, of course, being that you don't have the higher quality codecs. These are not the most analytical pair of earbuds out there, and they are very slightly sibilant, but otherwise they're very fun and lively sound. I find that for most people, anyone who's not an audiophile, you're going to absolutely love the sound of these earbuds. Like I said, powerful bass, very capable, and they seem to sound really balanced in just about every genre I've tried to listen to. But the active noise cancellation on these earbuds is unfortunately not quite as impressive as the sound quality or the form factor or anything else about these earbuds. I found that while the ANC definitely does a decent job blocking stuff out, it's nowhere near the level of the Sony earbuds or even the AirPods Pro. So for ANC, they do the job well enough, but they're not going to be anything too substantial. But that's been it. That's my take on the Jabra Elite 7 Pros. Overall, they're a pretty fantastic pair of earbuds, but do they justify the price difference between these at $199 versus the Jabra Elite 3s, which are less than half the price? Honestly, I would say that for most people, if you're on a tight budget, it's going to be a no-brainer to go with the cheaper pair of earbuds that still give you the benefit of having a Jabra pair of earbuds being a very comfortable, very compact pair. But for anybody who is not tight on money and you want a more compact pair that is very slim, looks really nice, very clean, with great controls, great sound, and great microphones, I mean, the Jabra Elite 7 Pros are really a no-brainer. But keep in mind, like I said, the active noise cancellation is going to be your one compromise. You don't have the most powerful ANC, but you're getting a smaller pair of earbuds. So let me know what you think. Would you prefer the Sony XM4s with their larger form factor, but with that get better active noise cancellation? Or something smaller like the Jabras right here, which give you not as great active noise cancellation, but just about everything else in a really compact design? I want to hear from you guys in the comments below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. I'm Mike O'Brien. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.